Welcome to the Algebra 2 Unit 6 video on skill number 55. I can identify, evaluate, add, subtract, classify, and graph polynomials. We'll start our notes on page 55A. Title it Polynomials. So, polynomials are composed of monomials. So first let's look at the definition of a monomial. A monomial is a number or product of numbers and variables with whole number exponents. So we've dealt with plenty of polynomials monomials in the past. As you can see, 3 is a monomial, 7x, x over 2, 2x squared, 5x. These are all examples of monomials. Some counterexamples would be if you had the variable in the denominator, if you had the variable with a fractional exponent, or a variable with a negative exponent. So those are not monomials. And then a polynomial would just be a sum of monomials. So x is a monomial, so that's a polynomial. 2 plus x, or even 3x squared plus 5y minus 8, that's a polynomial. The only counterexample I wrote down was 3 over 2x plus 7, but we could also have like the absolute value of 2 minus x squared. That is not a polynomial. One of the traits of monomials is called the degree of the monomial. And basically we're going to look at the exponent attached to the variables. So in this first example, 3x squared has a degree of 2. On the next example, 13x squared y to the third, it has a degree of 5 because 2 plus 3 is 5. And then the number 7 has a degree of 0 because the exponent attached to the variable is 0. And that's why we don't see a variable at all. Some other ones on the page, 2x squared is a degree of 2, 5xy is a degree of 2. The degree of a polynomial, however, is given by the term with the greatest degree. So in the example I've written here, 7x squared plus 25x squared y minus 6 is a degree of 3 because 25x squared y has a degree 3, and that is the highest degree of our three independent terms. This information plays out on the skill test in a couple ways. First one is we're given a polynomial or a monomial, and we're asked for the leading coefficient, the degree, and asked how to classify it. So in order to find the leading coefficient, we have to write the polynomial in standard form, which I've described down here. Basically, standard form is write each term in order of descending degree. So 3x squared plus 5x plus 12 is already in descending degree. With b, this is not descending degree, but if we wrote it in descending degree, our first term would be 6y to the 5th, x to the 10th. And then c is already in standard form. So the leading coefficient for a is 3, because it's the number attached to the highest degree. For b, it's 6, which is the number attached to the highest degree. And for c, it's 13, because that's the number attached to the highest degree. The degree of these polynomials, in the first case, a is a second degree function or expression, b is a 15th degree expression, and c is a third degree expression because we have x to the third. In order to classify our polynomials, we classify it by two pieces. First, we classify it by the number of terms, and second, we classify it by the degree. So in the first case, we have 3 terms. So 3 terms is a trinomial, and our highest degree is 2. So we have a quadratic trinomial. Our expression for b, our degree is 15, and we don't go that high with names, so we'll just call it a polynomial with 4 terms, because there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 terms. If we wanted to, we could say polynomial with 4 terms to the 15th degree. And then finally in example C, we have 2 terms, so it's a binomial, and our highest degree is 3, and that is cubic. So we have a cubic binomial. Finally, the last piece of this skill is adding and subtracting polynomials. And this goes all the way back to skill number 4 or 5 on the year, and it's not anything really new to us. It's just simply combining like terms. So in the first case we have 2x squared plus negative 5x squared gives us negative 3x squared. 7x plus x gives us 8x, and negative 3 plus positive 18 is positive 15. In the case of subtracting, we want to make sure the subtraction gets distributed through. So we have 15x to the 4th minus 3x to the 4th is 12x to the 4th. We have x cubed minus 12x cubed is negative 11x cubed. And then minus 3x squared minus, there's no term for that one, so just minus 3x squared. And then negative 7 minus negative 5, or negative 7 plus 5, and that equals negative 2. Brief zoom in on this page so that you can see some of those words. Keywords being binomial, trinomial, we knew quadratic, cubic, quartic is a new word to us, and quintic is a new word to us. Alright, for skill number 55, the keywords and ideas that we need to know are standard form. We should be able to look at a polynomial and put it into standard form. And speaking of polynomials, we should be able to know how to identify a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or if it's a polynomial with 4 or more terms. We should also be able to identify the leading coefficient, the degree of the polynomial, and if it's a constant, linear, quadratic, or cubic function. For this skill, the keywords and ideas that we need to keep in mind is standard form. We should be able to take a polynomial and write it into standard form. And that polynomial we should be able to identify as a monomial, meaning 1 term, binomial, meaning 2 terms, trinomial being 3 terms, and then other would be anything more than 3 terms. Once we've written it in standard form, we should be able to identify the leading coefficient and the degree, and using that degree to identify whether it's a constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, quintic, etc. This concludes the lesson on our skill. Thank you.